Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. We are going for two with Jack Taylor. I'm Jack Taylor.
I'm Hunter too.
And we just messed that up for the first time in a while. I just messed that up for the first time in a while. Yeah, welcome back for the second time this week. It's the first time we've done 2 episodes in a week since we lived together, I'm pretty sure, a couple of years ago. So, getting back into the swing of things and full on into baseball season now. About to go into our 3rd weekend of it, I believe. So, in a full swing. So we have a really good episode today. Have the review from our midweek win against Southern Miss, and then we are going to preview another big weekend as we face off against three different are they all Power 5? Yeah, 3 different Power 5 teams in Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Cal. But first, before we talk about any games, we would like to read some motivation. Friday morning motivation started out as motivation for the fans, for the listeners. But now that we reach out to artificial intelligence for this, we found it more important to give motivation to the team. So we explain the situation that the team is in, and AI just generates motivation for the team. So that's what we're going to do. Right now, we're going to read what AI thinks the team needs to hear. Congratulations on your recent win against Southern Miss. Remember, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Cal are all tough competitors, but you use this opportunity to showcase your skills and learn from your opponents. You earned your spot in Frisco through hard work and dedication, so stay focused and give it your all on the field. Good luck.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Honestly, just beautiful writing. And if you as the listeners can gather anything from that, don't be afraid to just take from that what you will. It might apply to some people's lives. I don't know, but it doesn't apply to me in my life. So I'm not gonna.
I for one am not playing Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Cal.
I did not earn my way to Frisco, so I'll be sitting here in Flowood. But yeah, I think the team, if that gets to them, this weekend could be huge. So that being said, let's get started with the game that happened this past Tuesday in Pearl. The Southern Miss game. What you got?
Yeah, that was certainly one of the games. You were in attendance, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was there. So I'll be able to talk about what I saw there. You obviously had a better view of like the strike zone or the lack thereof, and I'm sure there were just some things you saw that I didn't. Before we get into the game, though, what about the kid in the push-up contest?
Yeah, I was about to ask you about that.
I am so glad that the game was televised, because if I had just seen that with my own eyes and I had to be the one to spread that news around, nobody would have believed me. But I got back home, and obviously it was already on Twitter. You said it was already on the message boards like moments after it happened. So that kid was, he's a natural.
He's gonna be a popular kid.
There you go.
So into the game. Both teams, there was 19 walks. That's something. So
19 walks, 6 hit by pitches between the two teams, 5 from Southern Miss, which ultimately is what cost them the game. I think errors could have easily cost us the game. We had 3 to their 1. I think they scored runs off of all 3 of our errors. But them hitting batters is really what allowed us to keep rallies going. And we'll talk about Luke Hancock in a little bit. He got bailed out by 2 hit by pitches. So it was just a gross game. 19 total runs scored on just 12 hits between both teams. So that just doesn't really speak well to either team's pitching. So
yeah. For us, Bradley Lofton got the start. We ended up being wrong about Lou getting the start, and I guess we'll touch on why he didn't get the start a little bit. But right. Lofton, he came out. He did not look sharp the first 2 innings. like I don't even know his stats for the first two, but he got the bases loaded twice. So
I got to the game and it was already first and third with no outs, I believe, and both of those guys got on there with via walks. So, but he was able to bounce back, which seems to be the trend with him. Like, I think in both of his starts at this point, he's walked 10, but has 13 strikeouts, and he's only given up 4 hits total. So, like, I mean, he's gonna get himself in some trouble, and if he can avoid the defense having errors, which is why some runs scored in this game for him, like errors obviously not helping, but he's kind of shooting himself in the foot by getting these runners on base, getting his pitch count really high early on. But he's shown the stuff to get through it. We saw in this game the mound that they were pitching on was really slippery. I know he had trouble with it, and I think Tyson Harden also had trouble later on. Also, strike zone just super inconsistent. So this game, kind of a weird one to base it on, but I mean, he's been sharp. I mean, when he's on. He's getting these strikeouts, but he also really, really does. He can't help himself out with these walks. So I think really the walks are what's keeping him out of the rotation on the weekends, and we'll see if he can get it down and have string together a few good starts in the midweek. I would not be surprised to see him maybe in the Saturday slot coming soon.
Yeah. So after 2 innings, it was pretty much everyone was like, okay, got to go get Lofton. We left him out there for 2 more innings, and he was pretty good in those 2.
Yeah.
I mean, after those first 2 innings for your total pitch count after 4 to be 80, it's like pretty decent. Right. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, in the, I'm pretty sure we had the bases loaded with 1 out. The lineup turned over, had their leadoff hitter up to the plate, and he gets a ground ball to Luke Hancock at first, and that's when there was a throwing error on Luke that allowed 2 runs to score. That was all the damage though. So in that inning at least, did have 1 hard hit ball that scored 2. Dustin Dickerson double, but yeah, I was super impressed with Lofton, and
fighting back from it was impressive. Like,
yeah,
the start,
I know the walks are up there, and I think me and you are probably a little higher on him than a lot of people are. I've heard on some other podcasts they just don't really have the faith in him. But I mean, right now, like, he's getting himself in these situations and getting out of them. Casey Hunt's getting himself in these situations and like continuing to walk in runs and hit batters, and like, I mean, it has to say something about him that he's getting strikeouts even after this and even after the errors. Like, he's not a complete head case, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
the it felt weird in this game was, remember how like earlier in the week we were like, wow, here's this list of guys that we know need innings.
Yeah, and none of them got them.
We didn't go to any of them. First, after Lofton's 4 innings where he battled through, we bring in Tyler Davis, and dude was just dying out there.
Yeah.
There's 2 errors in the field with him in there. He gave up 4 runs, 3 earned. He'd get to 0-2, and then just
he would just lose it. Like, he just didn't have a put away pitch, and I don't know if that's the zone being bad. I don't really remember if he was missing just a little bit high, a little bit low, whatever.
His pitches look good. Like
yeah.
I mean, he gets 2 strikes for a reason.
Right. He's been a proven starter and a proven closer in a good baseball conference for VCU. So, like, I don't think that we've seen all that we need to from Tyler Davis. Like, I still think there's more in the tank for him, but this one just he just didn't look great. And like you said, I mean, he was getting ahead of batters, but then he would get to 3-2, and then he would throw a really, really predictable fastball, I'm assuming, and they would just blast it. And obviously the 2 errors didn't help. One, by Monty Larry, threw it into the dugout, and then one, he was Tyler Davis himself was trying to cover first base on a ground ball to first, and he just couldn't squeeze it. So that was an error on him. But yeah, I wasn't really excited Tyler Davis was coming out of the bullpen anyway. like you said, we had that list of guys, and Parker was on that list, and I was sitting down the third base line. I didn't see Parker come to the bullpen at all. Um, I I know we said Aaron Nixon probably needed to be seen in this game.
Because he's kind of injured.
Yeah, we said that he would probably come in if we needed a save opportunity. Turns out we needed a save opportunity, and we never saw Nixon. So I did see on Twitter or message boards or something that there is probably a little injury going on with him. Didn't seem to be like the sky was falling. Like, so I don't.
It's just like a little 1 week thing.
Right. It didn't seem like it was too big of a deal. Kind of the same thing with Pico, maybe. So, yeah, we went to Tyler Davis. He got 2/3 of an inning, and then I think Tyson Harden came in. And for the most part, I thought he did well. What did you see with him?
He was gross his first two batters, and then he just started pumping them in the zone, and they really couldn't do anything. Yeah. And he ended up having a really nice outing. He was getting squeezed quite bad on, I think, one of those walks was really, really bad, how much he was squeezed.
Yeah, I didn't really have the best angle, and that's why I said you probably had an advantage by watching it on TV. But a couple of times he did a K-strut or walked back to the dugout and then looked back, and it was called ball 3 or it was called a walk or something. And I mean, that probably doesn't help your case with an umpire. Not that should have any impact on it, but umpires are human. They don't like being called out. So he didn't really help himself with that one. But he did go 2 innings and didn't give up any runs. Didn't give up any hits either. So
I'm interested to keep on watching him.
Yeah, and that was a good bounce back performance for him. He had a really, really bad showing against ULM in that game last week that we lost against them.
He was good against VMI at the game I was at. Yeah, I liked him. He works super fast.
Yeah, I mean, him and Dom were kind of made for this pitch clock thing. I mean, I don't know if they've played in some league that's had it before, or if that's just how they like to operate. But I really did like Harden in this game. So yeah, you just mentioned it, or we just mentioned it. Nate Dom did come in. He got a 1 out, or he only needed 1 pitch to get out of the inning that Tyson Harden left in. He got a fly ball to right field, and then pitched the last 2 innings of the game after that. So he got 2 1/3 in. And I don't want to speak too much into this. I don't want to jinx this. I don't want to say anything out of turn. But Nate Dom has a little bit of Landon Sims in him.
Yeah.
And I know that he hasn't been in the situation that Landon kind of had his coming out party in, where Landon came in with the bases loaded, no outs, struck out 3, and just had this moment coming off the mound that everybody kind of looked like, all right, he is the guy. He is the heart and soul of this team. Nate Dom is kind of becoming that way. He has some swagger about him. He has what me and you affectionately call FU fastballs, where he just throws them, at your chest and or throws them right down the middle of the plate and just dares you to hit them. And it's just a swagger that you like from a relief pitcher. I like it from a closer especially. And if Nixon can't fill that role, then Dom doesn't seem to have a problem doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a transfer from Ball State, has no interest in any sort of in-state rivalry or whatever you want to call it with Southern Miss, and he was fired up. And I don't think he cared that it was Southern Miss. It's a baseball game for him. I loved it. And if Nixon does come back and Nixon becomes the closer, which I would be perfectly fine with, I mean, Dom's just a fireballer, and he could be the Colby White to set up for the Cole Gordon if that's what we needed. And because Colby White was touching 99, and he wasn't our closer. I usually do associate the highest velocity on the team with the closer, but that might not be the case. So
yeah, so that's what our pitching was. I mean, when we talk about it like that, and kind of the stupid errors here and there, the weird zone doesn't sound too horrible. Only one I had real issue was Tyler Davis. I didn't like his outing, but in his defense, I don't know why they left him out there so long dying.
Yeah,
that should have been a faster pull.
Anytime I see it just seems like really demoralizing for a pitcher when somebody hits a double right down the first base line. For whatever reason, that seems like one of the more demoralizing hits in baseball. I don't know if it's just because it's so close to being foul, so close to being like fielded for an out or maybe even a double play. But like when that goes, you just know that things are not going well for you as a pitcher. And I think even after that, he stayed in and more things continued to happen. So, yeah, I totally agree with that. Being there, you kind of felt, I just felt bad for him. Just seeing him toe the rubber each and every pitch. So,
yeah. Should we talk about our bats?
Let's do it.
Our weird little comeback?
Yeah. So, a few guys with multiple RBIs. These names are going to continue to be said all year long. Hopefully, Amani Larry had the only home run on the night for either team. He had a solo shot, I think, in the 4th or 5th inning, but he had multiple RBIs. Ledbetter had just a bases clearing triple. I got Hunter a little bit excited on that one. Because obviously, I was at the game, so I was a little bit ahead of Hunter watching it on TV. And I just sent Colton in all caps after he got a hit with the bases loaded, and Hunter was like, "Did you do it again? Did you hit a grand slam?" But no, bases clearing triple, which arguably even a better hit than a grand slam. Doesn't kill the rally, even though it did.
I don't know if he scored right after.
Yeah, right. DJ, who I'm about to talk about. Yeah, Dakota Jordan also had multiple RBIs with that single to get Ledbetter in, and sack fly in the big rally in the 8th inning. So
this game for Jordan, what I want Luke Hancock to be.
Just make contact with runners in scoring position, please. So those three guys, Amani Larry, Ledbetter, and Dakota Jordan, all had multiple RBIs. All of them contributed to the 2 big innings that we had. We had a big inning in the 2nd, and we had a big inning in the 8th. 4 runs in one, 5 runs in another, and then Amani had his solo shot.
You know who else contributed to both big innings?
Tell me about him, man.
Lane Forsythe.
Let's go.
He's heating up. Lane has had 2 hits, 1 walk. His batting average is up to 297.
That's just nuts.
Did he start both rallies? I'm pretty sure he did. I mean, he was the first.
He might have walked to start the 2nd inning rally.
Yeah. Hines.
Because I know his first.
Clark walked. Heifel singled. Lane walked, and then Larry walked, and then the center. Yeah,
but in the 8th inning, I could tell he was coming up just from what the last inning ended as. So he was coming up, and I knew that he had to do something to start this rally. He had a really bad at bat to start with. I think it started out 0-2. He worked it to 3-2, and then must have just gotten a predictable pitch, and he ropes it into the left center field gap for a double. His 2nd straight game with an extra base hit. It took him till April 22nd to get his first last year, and that was a double against Ole Miss. So, man,
Lane's actually looking like it's
really
not a joke anymore.
Really good approaches, and it's just really fun seeing Lane with a slugging percentage that's different than his batting average, meaning that he's not just hitting singles.
Also, he has a weird amount of swagger since hitting a home run.
Yeah, he started eating W's.
I don't know if I ever expected that to happen.
He's kind of got like this flow going on, which I know he had long hair his freshman year, but like something's happening to
he looks a whole lot different.
Yeah. But yeah, that 8th inning rally, I really don't think it happens if he gets down 0-2 and then just swings at a bad pitch for a strikeout. Like that rally might not happen because Justin Storm was cruising at that point for Southern Miss. They end up going to their closer midway through our rally, and that didn't really help for them.
Well, Storm was their closer, and then they brought in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha. Storm I think he had 2 or 3 really good innings, and then he was cruising. So if Lane is another out, that might just continue on down. So really, really proud of Lane for starting that rally and just for heating up. I mean, that average has to have jumped up like 50 or 60 points in the past 4 or 5 games. So that's I apologize to Lane, and I hope he because I think last week I said he's an automatic out in the lineup, and we needed to go to hijack very, very soon. So anyway, Lane.
What exactly was Southern Miss's plan, bringing in Storm in the bottom of the 5th?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, he's burnt for the week, right?
I don't know if a 5-inning save was
in the cards.
I don't know if that's what they were planning on. But yeah, as a closer, I mean,
he had 45 pitches.
You're like 2 innings, like 30 pitches max. He may be different. I really don't know what
he did throw 7 against LSU or something.
Yeah, I mean that was crazy, but that's like
stuff of legends.
That's like postseason stuff. Yeah, I mean that doesn't happen very often. That's kind of like Max Scherzer coming out of the bullpen in the World Series or something like that.
I must add, they probably should have just brought Tanner Hall out of the bullpen in the bottom of the 8th.
I mean, if they were just selling out for a victory, then yeah,
it was bases loaded. No one is.
Yeah, I don't understand all that.
They brought in,
but like we said, I mean, the pitching for neither team was just super clean. A lot of walks, a lot of hit batters. I think we did this whole rally, a 5-run rally, in the 8th inning, and only had 2 hits. I think it was Lane's double to start the rally, and then Slate had an RBI single. We had a lot of hard hit balls, some for sac flies, including Hunter Hines. I mean, a warning track shot that on TV looked like a bomb. I thought it was a home run, and I was in the stadium. So not like we weren't making good contact, but I think we've seen through a few games at Trustmark Park the ball really doesn't travel well, especially to right field. It didn't seem like on Tuesday. So, but that's just an interesting 5-run rally with only 2 hits. But that just shows you. I mean, we take advantage of bad pitching, just like Southern Miss took advantage of 3 errors on our part. So.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how we won that game.
We really, I heard Hey Dad say this on Thunder and Lightning, but we really had no business winning that game.
Did Southern Miss either?
I mean, no. It was and Southern Miss just gets to travel to Trustmark again next week and play Ole Miss. So
and they play Dallas Baptist this weekend.
Yeah.
For the Golden Eagles.
Yeah, they swept their first series against Liberty. Thought that was just going to be a kickoff to a huge season for them.
Don't worry, bro. The season tickets are sold out for the entire season. And
they're about to expand their stadium because they're planning on hosting so many more Supers.
Don't do that. That's a bad business decision.
But yeah, I mean, thought that they were just going to have another incredible season, which they still might. I'm not saying that they can't, but a series loss to Illinois in which their pitching really imploded on them. And then obviously this heartbreaking loss to Mississippi State. They get Dallas Baptist, who just hits nothing but bombs and has for the last decade. And then they get to travel back to Trustmark and play Ole Miss next Tuesday. So,
wait, that one's at Ole Miss. That's not Trustmark. Their Trustmark game is later.
What?
Yeah.
Why are they playing them twice?
I don't know.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah. Someone told me that the other day, and I was like, huh?
Okay. Well, there you go. So, one more thing before we move on from the Southern Miss game. I just need to tell you, and we've talked about it a lot, I know, but Luke Hancock has to be stopped. If we haven't talked about it, they finally kind of got to what we said. We might have said it in the last episode we did, but if we had to kick somebody out of the lineup for this whole controversy with the veterans and Bryce Chance, it would be Bryce Chance. He would be the one to go. I hate it for him, but in just about any situation, except for like some insane righty-lefty matchup, whatever, I'd rather have Kellum Clark than Bryce, just because he's proven himself. We had Kellum in right, Hunter Hines at DH, Luke Hancock at first, and Ross Heifel at catcher, which I think we had decided was our ideal lineup as long as Luke plays good first base and just is at all competent at the plate.
Good at bats. That's all.
Just good at bats. Well, he continues to just watch strikes. Struck out looking again this week, that game against Southern Miss. Got 0-2 in the middle of a rally and got bailed out by getting hit by a pitch, which, you know what, he does seem to have a knack for getting hit by pitches. I don't know if that's a skill or not. He might just be super close to the plate. That might be part of his game.
The one of the hit by pitches, he was swinging at it.
And all that on top of we've seen the mental errors at catcher where they've done the double steal where the runner from third comes into home because Luke throws it to second. I get it's a tricky situation. Like, you don't want two runners in scoring position, but if you throw to second, they are going to score.
Yeah, like Lotan did that a few times.
Yeah.
But at least that's because he trusted his arm.
Right. Luke, like, double clutches and then looks at the runner at third and then throws it to second. And they've scored twice. So mental errors at catcher and allowing stolen base after stolen base. Whatever. Now he's at first base, which he's been claimed to be much better than Hunter Hines at first base. And he has mental errors at first, too. All on top of bad at-bats that we didn't see last year. So I don't know where this regression has come from, but until that changes, look, I'm not sold on having Luke Hancock in our lineup at all. If we can get Hunter Hines,
definitely not in the 4-hole.
Absolutely not. I don't need him in situations with the bases loaded or runners in scoring position until he can prove that he can
Jack,
do
let's,
it.
Let's play who has 4 RBIs on this baseball team real quick.
Okay.
So let me go look at something real quick. I need to go to the special report and see how many games. So Luke has played 6 games in the cleanup spot.
Okay.
6 games. Okay. So that's a pretty good sample size. All right. Would you say that Luke Hancock has more RBIs than, I don't know, Ross Highfill?
I would probably say so.
No. Ross has 5. Luke has 4. Okay, worst hitter on the team apparently. Lane Forsythe.
I would say that Luke Hancock definitely has more than Lane.
Lane has 7. And 2 of Luke's are in a home run against the ULM game 1.
Yeah.
I don't. That's just my piece. I know our top 2 guys have been getting on, so that means he's been getting at bats with people on base. So
yeah. Look, I think that Luke has the potential to turn it around. I might have overspoken.
He does have 9 walks, so that's good.
Yeah, and let me see, 4 hit by pitches. So like that's 13 times that he's gotten on base when he could have just struck out. Whatever. Anyway, if we want to put him in the 8-hole, like I feel confident enough in our lineup. Like we could still have guys on base when he gets up in the 8-hole. If we want to do that until he can prove that he can hit consistently, I'm fine with that. Like that seems like a move that should be made. I love Colton Ledbetter up at the top of the lineup. This feels like a good opportunity to show that he is the nation's leader in RBIs at this point with 19, which bases loaded triple and a grand slam in back-to-back games will help with that a lot. But yeah, Luke's got to get out of the cleanup spot. I don't want him out of the lineup right now. He's just got to have more consistent, good at bats, and I know that he has the potential to do that. He's up on his strikeouts, like based on what he's done in the past 2 years. So like we have to believe that that's going to go down. That's going to stop happening. But if it doesn't, I think you got to start having Hunter Hines at first base and then fill that DH role with Bryce Chance or Aaron Downs or even that might be where we find Hijack from now on. So
heck, I think Hijack can play first.
I think Hijack might just be a Swiss Army knife. I think he can play anywhere
except for short. Don't forget short.
Apparently,
supposedly.
Yeah. So anyway,
Luke rant for the week. It's done.
That's our Luke rant. Last week it was a Lane rant. Now it's Luke. So who's it going to be next week?
Probably Will Hoyle.
Maybe so. All right. So moving on to our weekend slate. We start on Friday with Ohio State. We go to Oklahoma, or we play Oklahoma on Saturday, and then we finish it off with Cal on Sunday. So just a fun little Power 5 trio there. Game 1 against Ohio State's probably going to be the toughest matchup, just from what we can tell with starting pitchers. They have a tried and true ace that has, really seems like he's had just the best possible start to a season. And so we know the starting pitchers for Ohio State and Oklahoma. It's TBA for Cal just because they post once every 4 days apparently. I forget that some schools don't really care about baseball. But on paper, I think Cal might be the best team.
Yeah.
But playing them Sunday, I have to give us an advantage just because Gartman has done his job the past 2 weeks. That's who's going to be going on Sunday. But first of all, I want to talk about the Ohio State game. Isaiah Coupe is their tried and true ace that we've talked about. And he will be going against Hunter. Do the honors.
Jurangelo Cijntje.
Jurangelo Cijntje. There we go. Both-handed pitcher, getting his first weekend start. True freshman, and I could not be happier.
Yeah, I am so hyped for this.
Yeah, I was getting disappointed I didn't get to see him in person on Tuesday. He did go to the bullpen twice for 2 different little throwing sessions, but I'm not really sure if they ever planned on using him or not. I'm assuming not, since he's the Friday night starter this week. But it should be a really, really fun matchup. To give you a little bit about Ohio State's starter, Isaiah Coupe is a small, crafty lefty that throws lower 90s, which that just makes me scream kind of internally. Like, we are going to get just destroyed by this guy, and he's going to throw 70 pitches. Complete game and 20 strikeouts. Through his 2 starts this year against UConn and Grand Canyon, which are 2 top 50 teams from a year ago, 2 postseason teams, NCAA tournament. 2 starts against them. He has 13 innings pitched total, 18 strikeouts to 1 walk and 1 earned run. 1 earned run was against Grand Canyon, and they lost that game 1-0. So that's painful. So he's 1-1 on the year, even though he's got 18 Ks to 1 walk and then 1 earned run. Baseball is so unfair, and wins should not be a pitcher stat, by the way. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and call it. He's going to be the best pitcher that we see before SEC play. And we might have to go a few weekends into SEC play to see a pitcher better than this. And I'm not even sure it's overpowering stuff. Like I said, it's low 90s, but we just cannot seem to hit crafty lefties like that. Braden Olthoff for Tulane did it. Whatever his name for Long Beach State did it to start the season last year.
Something Rodriguez or something.
I might not should say that he's the best pitcher that we'll see, but he might give us the most trouble, and I think that'll be pretty safe to say. We'll see how it goes, but history has proved that, like, I don't even know if it's only Mississippi State. It might just be like SEC schools that are used to facing overpowering pitchers just struggle with this kind of pitching.
Doug didn't lose many games.
You're right. I didn't think about that.
Didn't he go like? Didn't he win against Kumar?
Yeah, he did.
That's silly. Doug Day.
Man. So that's what we have about Ohio State. I don't really. I mean, this early into the season, I can't really tell too much about their offense.
It does not rank well.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like their RBIs are kind of spaced out throughout their lineup. I mean, nobody just has like an outlier amount like 19 for Colton Ledbetter. They have 3 guys hitting over 300. We have 1 guy hitting 400. So suck it. Anyway, they are 3-5 on the year. Like I said, they've had faced some really good competition. They haven't played a home game all year, and they've played 3 different teams: UConn, Gonzaga, and Grand Canyon. All NCAA tournament teams from last year. Gonzaga seems to be off to a bad start, but I don't think that a 3-5 record really says it all. Considering one of those losses was a game where their pitcher gave up 1 run and they lost 1-0. So yeah, that's what we have on Ohio State. That's our Friday night matchup, and if we can win that, I really feel good about us getting 2 wins this weekend, at least.
Yeah. So
what you got the next day?
So Oklahoma, they were in the College World Series finals last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little weird, right?
Right.
So they'll be throwing Will Carson against Itama. Carson is a tall right-handed pitcher. He's a JUCO transfer with a low 90s fastball. Through 2 starts, he has 10 innings, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 8 Ks. Maybe a little bit of a pitch to contact guy. I don't know if that's an indictment on his stuff or if that's just how he wants to play. But against Cal Baptist and Ritter, that's just kind of how he was.
Yeah. I kind of put that in there just to contrast against what we're going to see from Coupe, because 18 strikeouts in 2 games kind of makes it seem like, I mean, I know the stuff's not like overpowering velocity-wise, but I mean, there's going to be some movement to Coupe's stuff. But just 8 strikeouts in 2 games didn't really seem like too overpowering. So, and he'd given up 10 hits throughout those 2 games. So I think we'll be able to make pretty good contact. And when this team makes contact, the ball goes really far, really fast. So I like that matchup a lot. And we're by far the best offense that Carson's going to see, maybe in his life, because he's faced California Baptist and Rider, and this is his first year outside of JUCO. So maybe a rude awakening coming for Will Carson.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know what happened to this team after last year. Their offense is just not good. They do run a lot. I know that. They're 8th in the nation with 24 steals through 8 games.
Okay.
So please play Heifel. That is my one request.
Yeah.
Please.
I mean, this could very well be a thing this weekend where Luke catches against Ohio State and Cal, and then Heifel just goes against Oklahoma.
But the opposite's going to happen. It's Heifel's going to catch against Ohio State and Cal, and then Luke is
That's baseball.
Catching against. Yeah. So OU, they're 8th in the nation in steals. They're 225th in home runs, but they have the 36th national scoring ranking.
Okay. There we go.
It's so
they're good. Do with these numbers what you will.
Yeah.
The only outlier I see on their offensive stats, Anthony McKenzie batting .548, 17 hits on the year already. I'm assuming he's the leadoff guy because he has that many hits, but only has 6 RBIs.
First baseman. My God.
What?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, there you go.
He's 9 for 10 in stolen bases.
They also have a guy named Bryce Madron batting .217, 15 walks on the season. So that's silly. Averaging 2 walks a game.
Okay, I'm so glad we're starting Itama against them. Is Itama fast to the plate?
I don't think he was getting eaten alive by stolen bases.
And he was throwing to Luke.
Right. So, yeah. Anthony McKenzie batting .548, 17 hits. And then Bryce Madron, 15 walks. So, those are two names to be looking out for on the Saturday game. If you don't have anything else there, we're moving on to Sunday against Cal. Like I said, TBA, but potential starter could be their everyday DH, Tucker Bougie.
Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah. He has a 2.53 ERA. He has 10 innings pitched. Let me find his Ks on here. 7 Ks through those 10 innings.
Okay.
I don't know if he's gonna be him, so I don't want to waste time talking about it. But I guess we'll play him. But
yeah,
I mean he's batting like 118. So
right.
Yeah.
Like we said, Gartman's going to be going for us on this Sunday game. I mean, seems fairly consistent through his first 2 starts on Sundays. Like, he's going to get hit around a little bit, but he seems to have a veteran approach that doesn't allow him to get rattled.
I'm glad he's not going against Oklahoma. That could break him.
Yeah, I don't want that. So Cal, as we said, might be the best team. In some projections, they are projected to host a regional this year. They're 6-1 so far. They have a series win over Houston. They won 2 out of 3 in their first weekend against them, and then they have a midweek win over a conference opponent in Stanford. So, I mean, that seems like a pretty big win early on in the season. But yeah, that's what we got so far from these 3 teams. It should be a pretty fun weekend. It's a random assortment of teams from 4 different conferences, but yeah, I think we should have success, and a successful weekend. I mean, obviously is winning 2 out of 3, but I mean, if we can win Friday, I think we can win all 3.
Yeah.
Friday's going to be the challenge, strictly because of the pitcher that we're going up against, and who knows, when we get to him early, and we might not have to see him very long. I do know it's important for our offense, for our pitching, and our defense to be good, because against Arizona State, I'm not even sure we were facing a dominant pitcher on Friday, and we just couldn't really get anything going. I mean, the innings were so quick, and then like 3 up, 3 down, and Cade Smith and Casey Hunt were going back out there to get shelled again. I mean, our offense needs our defense and pitching to do well to have confidence at the plate, and so that's a key on Friday. It's a key every game, but I think especially in a matchup like that, you really want to see that on Friday.
Yeah.
A 4-0 week this week would go a long way, especially after the few embarrassing losses we had in the first week and a half or so. So yeah, I halfway through the Southern Miss game wasn't really expecting to win that one, but now we've got a chance to turn a bad start to a week into a 4-0 week. So I'm excited about it. Anything more on this weekend's games? You got any big series going around the country?
Excited to see what we do about Evan Sierra, Cade Smith. Want to see if Nixon is available.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff. I don't want to see KC. I would like to see Parker if we get a chance, and I don't feel like terrible.
Yeah. Especially if we can get just an opportunity with a pretty big lead, just see him get a confident inning or two would probably do a lot for him, and it'd do a lot for me too, and me and you, just to finally have some confidence back in Parker, because we haven't completely lost that, because we haven't seen him lose the ability to throw strikes, but we also haven't seen him since the first weekend, so that's a little alarming. Yeah. Let's take a look real quick before we go to Instagram questions at some other big series happening across the country. We have a couple series and a couple more of these like round robin classic tournaments, whatever they are. So first series that we see is a rivalry series between South Carolina and Clemson.
South Carolina is still undefeated?
Is that true? I think so, yes.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson, surely they didn't get, did they get swept by UCF?
I know they lost the series because UCF went down the hill at the Clemson football field.
Also, I don't understand how those two connect. Is the football stadium just open?
Yeah, I don't really know what that's all about. I've obviously never been on that campus, but most football stadiums are closed when they're not being played in. Another big series, which it just sounds like a big series. I'm not really sure if it is. I mean, if it's a rivalry,
Florida
whatever.
May still be top 5.
Miami at Florida. Florida has dropped some stinkers of games, in bad fashion too. They've lost to Jacksonville. They lost to Jacksonville. They've lost to South Florida. Have they lost a series?
I don't think so.
Okay. Just those midweek games kind of stacking up against them, which makes me feel better because the loss to ULM just still kind of stings. But yeah, Miami going to Gainesville to play against them, so that should be fun. And then these last two here, we have one of the tournaments in Minnesota, and then a tournament in. Is this one in Texas as well?
Yeah, it's like the Shriners Classic or something.
Yeah, it's in Houston. Yeah, so the one in Minnesota, Ole Miss will be in that one, along with Hawaii, Vanderbilt, Maryland, who Ole Miss played last week, and then Minnesota and Nebraska. So, do you know what 3 teams Ole Miss plays in that one?
Pretty sure it's Maryland, Minnesota, Nebraska.
Okay, gotcha. And then this last one here.
I guess Hawaii is standing in as an SEC team.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of funny because usually it's like, I know in the one in 2021 it was us, Arkansas, and Ole Miss playing against 3 Big 12 teams, which was really, really cool. So next we've got the Shriners Classic in Houston, star-studded. I mean, this is by far the best one I've seen this year. Louisville, Michigan, Rice, Texas Tech, TCU, and Texas A&M. I mean, just big-time name after big-time name, with Michigan thrown in there, but they've also made it to a College World Series finals in the last 5 years.
Yeah, worst baseball school in your classic being Michigan.
Yeah,
you're pretty good.
I like that a lot. So some really, really fun games happening across the country. Might not be able to watch them all with your current subscription, but growing the game.
Growing the game.
Yeah. Thank you, D1 Baseball. Anyway, that's it for college baseball happening around the country this year, or this week.
The season is over. We went out on top.
COVID hit again. Dang it.
It's just like that lightning.
All right. Here's a suggestion. Anytime we play Ole Miss, or how about anytime we play any game, just for when we get in trouble, let's just wheel over the high voltage lab from Simral on campus, because apparently, if that lightning happens long enough, you just get to claim a win as long as you had a lead at some point in the game. So, you down?
I mean, we could certainly make that happen. It's baseball.
I know a guy that is in electrical engineering. Slade, that means you. There's no way Slade's listening to this. But high voltage lab, I've seen the lightning in there. It can happen. Anyway, just a thought. Fraudulent win, by the way. All right. We have a few Instagram questions here. Not too many, but there's never too many. Got 4 of them here. First one is from Duncan Helms. And I think he asked this before the rotation came out. Do we see Lou start this weekend?
I'd assume yes.
Oh, I'm going to say yes. Brooks Taylor has 2 questions here. First, why the white helmets? I kind of agree. I'm not a fan of the white. I probably like the white with the black jerseys better than maroon with black jerseys. In an ideal world, it would just be a black helmet with black jerseys. But, if white helmets is the worst thing that we have, so be it. The white hats, seems like we might have done away with those.
Except for on the front.
Except when we're wearing black. Yeah. Because the nickel black uniforms were really, really bad until we decided to just embrace the all black, like black hats, black helmets, everything like that. Like when there were still traces of maroon in it, it was.
See, but people's issues with them was the softball pants. But
yeah, the black jerseys with the white pants really has kind of grown on me a little bit. It helps that
I went to that game and I was like, oh shoot, I wonder what I'm going to get to see. You know, white 85s haven't been worn, white pins haven't been worn.
Yeah,
and then they came out wearing.
Like, yeah, I'm sure that was just a shocking thing, but other than the white hats that were just kind of shocking, I don't really hate them as much as I thought I would.
No, I kind of like them, and we win. So.
Yeah, right. So hopefully that continues. But yeah, the white helmets, just match them to your jersey or whatever. Anyway, next question from Brooks: figuring things out? ? I think that we should have a good idea of what this pitching rotation is going to look like after this weekend. If Lou settles in, Eintema has another good start, Gartman has a third straight good start. Like, we're pretty settled in and with not too far to go to SEC play. So I think that would help us a lot. And then Cade would just find his spot in the bullpen or in midweek duty. I would think more of a bullpen spot for him.
Yeah.
I think he's graduated past midweek starts. That seems kind of like a trial and error kind of thing, and I think we know what Cade can bring when he finds the right spot. Offensively, I think it's there. I think we're going to have some anemic-looking games at some point, but for the most part, I mean, the top of that lineup is going to hit and going to produce. So, anything else on that?
No, not really.
All right. And then my dad, FarmDog09, asked the last question here. Does Foxhall think that we can walk, in quotation marks,
that
to
actually
Omaha?
says, does Foxtail.
I didn't know if my dad made a typo or if he was making a joke. I don't get the joke if it is one. But does Foxtail think that we can walk to Omaha? Let me tell you, if we keep on walking batters the way that we are and committing errors the way that we are, we will not sniff Omaha.
Jack, but I have an idea for a thing.
Okay.
If we don't make it to Omaha, at the end of the year, we get up all of our walks and multiply it by 90 feet and see how close to Omaha we walk.
Dude, we might not get out of the state of Mississippi.
We will not get out of the state of Mississippi. It's 90 feet at a time.
I was just making sure you knew that probably wasn't going to get us very far.
How many miles is it from Starkville to Omaha?
I don't know. Something about that sign out in the left field lounge.
I'm going to figure this out. Starkville to Omaha.
I'm going to be closing, and you can just say that again.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Going for Two with Jack Taylor. We are super excited to bring you just another episode, and we look forward to another great weekend of college baseball. Until next time, we hope you have a great day, whatever. What I don't know what I'm doing here.
Good morning.
Hope you have a great morning, great day at work, whatever. So, we'll see you next time on Going for Two with Jack Taylor. Dude, we're still on that no-cut streak.
I have the math back. We would have to walk 47,754 batters to get to Omaha.
Does Foxhall think we can do it? Hey, Luke.